next presenter left from the last Congress in Bahamas with homework that we assigned to everybody. And that was to go back and talk to the organizations in your country and bring them back to the next Congress. And Jessica and Danny and the team from Bermuda did an incredible job doing that. So they've brought some of their colleagues on some of the projects that they worked on. Without further ado, Jessica Carvalho, and she's going to talk about private partnerships, case studies for positive relationships and outcomes in the Bermuda Botanical Gardens.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm with the government of Bermuda, specifically the Department of Parks, and I'm their park planner. Today, I'm going to talk about the private-public partnerships that we've been utilizing over the last year and a couple months since my colleague Danny and I came back from the Bahamas Congress in 2022. So we've had some success with a few different organizations. Our major partner, I would say, is the Bermuda Botanical Society. You can see here that we'll just wait a second. Is it okay? Yes. So the Bermuda Botanical Society, they have been involved in the Bermuda Botanical Gardens for a number of years. But that connection was sort of lost as the gardens began to dwindle due to a lack of manpower, financial, etc. Sort of the things that a lot of us face. But after 2022, we were very excited. We went back and we decided that we wanted to really begin working with these organizations again and trying to get those connections reestablished. So the Bermuda Botanical Society has never really stopped what they were doing in the garden. Here you can see them actually with some children promoting some education within the gardens. And you will also see yes. So during this time when the gardens have sort of been faltering, they've continued working on portions of the garden, specifically our native and endemic garden. They've installed a number of rare plant species as well as installing some signage. One of the biggest things that they've helped us with is actually our cactus and succulent house. You can see it here in the red box. From that photo, it's probably pretty obvious that it looks very grown over and there's no roof. This has happened because of hurricanes. Unfortunately, a hurricane hit a number of years ago. The collection was closed to the public and the roof was never reestablished. This caused it to become incredibly overgrown. And we had to actually rescue a lot of that collection. Thankfully, a lot of it was in pots, but due to water damage, we lost quite a bit. What we could salvage is in a location off-site now, and there are still a few species within the cactus house, and the Bermuda Botanical Society has helped us through volunteerism to clear out the cactus house. So this is what it looked like in 2003 when it was redesigned. And this is what we came to. It's incredibly overgrown. We've got a number of undesirable species. And it was also being used for storage. Those black slats that you can see are tables that are used for our farmers market. Unsurprisingly, I suppose, when we started the work of removing everything, we actually found that those black tables are on top of a very healthy cactus. So we're incredibly lucky not to have lost that. We know from our historical records, we had an annual report that had been done for a number of years. It hasn't been done in a very long time. But in the 1960s, 1970s, we know that at one time, the Bermuda Botanical Gardens housed over 2,000 species of cactus and succulent. When I sort of went and did an initial count, I believe we have 200 left, and a lot of those aren't even in very good condition. We're working with a cactus specialist on island now, and she's going to start the process of checking the health of the root systems of each of our cactuses and seeing what we can salvage and then hopefully replant here, more growth. And this is what it looks like today. Guys, catch up. There we go. This is what it looks like today. So we've got a lot less of the undesirable plant matter in there. It's looking a little empty, a little sparse. It obviously still needs to be cleaned. But what we're working on with the Bermuda Botanical Society now is laying down weed matting. That's because we still haven't re-established the roof. The weed matting is so that we don't have to go in and continually remove the undesirable plants. And it's just an interim measure until we can get that roof redone. However, we can't do that roof until this pointer works. There's a little ficus here. It's actually not so little. A ficus petiolaris, we believe, and we believe it's the only one on the island, at least publicly facing. So because of that, we are terrified to just chop it and hope it survives. So we've actually done some air layering. We're still waiting to see if it takes because this is a very recent project. If we can get some viable profit pools from that, then we can cut it back and hope for the best, and then we can reestablish the roof. So baby steps. After we removed all of that overgrowth, these are some of the cactuses that are still in the garden, and you can see they're flourishing. So there's not very many that are in there right now. I'm saying maybe 20 different types, maybe a bit more, but they're starting to flower and there's a lot of green growth. So they are happy to have a little bit of air and room to breathe. Next up, the Bermuda Botanical Society has also reached out using the listserv that we should all be a part of. And they found a palm specialist from Montgomery Botanic Center, Andrew Street. He has visited us twice now, most recently last week, I believe, or the week before. And he actually helped us get our palm collection back up online. And when I say back up online, what I mean is we are able to put plant labels. We were able to properly accession the palm collection, and we were able to map it as well. So we've got sort of 3 saved points of entry so that if at any point there's a label that's missing, we can easily go back in and put it back on without losing that information, which is sort of what was happening. Finally, the Bermuda Botanical Society has helped us with our library. The Department of Parks used to have a building, their offices within the gardens. Unfortunately, that building was condemned and everything was sort of left behind. In a little bit of a mad rush, the Bermuda Aquarium Museum and Zoo offered to assist by housing some of our records. And that was some of the immediately noticeable important records, like our annual reports, that type of thing. However, this is what was left behind. And you can see there's quite a bit of water damage. There's also a little bit of vandalism because the building is not very well secured. So you can get in and out of it. And when Danny went in, I believe he found over 9,000 records, books, a bunch of stuff that was just left there. And we decided that we needed to rescue these materials. And we followed a process whereby we freeze the materials to help inactivate the mold. And then we went in and cleaned the more mildewy books with alcohol solution with sanitizer. They are now stored in a climate controlled room. We're checking for humidity and temperature. And then you can also see Danny and I have got quite a few in boxes, plastic boxes in our office, and we're hoping to display those sooner rather than later. The next group I wanted to talk about quickly was the Bermuda Rose Society. This photo here is an aerial image taken in 2022. The border of that garden is where all of our roses are. And I'm hoping that you can tell from that image that it is all very grown in. It's very green. You can't really establish what each individual plant is. But the residence that is next door to this garden specifically is actually the official residence of our premier. And he likes to host events in the garden every once in a while. We got a last minute notice, we're hosting something in the Rose Garden, make it look good. So I worked with the Rose Society to basically get that collection back up online. We were missing vital information there as well, historical records. It took a lot of research, but you can see from the bottom right image here, this is what we're looking to have. Those are St. David's roses, which is a Bermuda specific rose. What we've done is we've taken out the weeds, we've laid weed matting and put wood chippings on top. There is an irrigation system underneath as well. And we're working now on the proper companion plants for the roses. Prior to this work that we did this past summer, the companion plants that were used were the same size as the roses, and they were planted right next to the roses. So you were losing that visual impact of the rose. So we're just trying to find the best to go along with it. So the garden doesn't look sparse, it still showcases the roses. And this is just my frantic way of working quickly. The map on the left is what I was given. This is what was told to me. The orange dots, sort of hard to see, but there's orange dots. I was told those didn't exist. The yellow still existed. We know that some of these roses are as old as 1980, and a lot more of them were planted more recently in 2020. So it took a little bit of research. We found the 1980 roses, and in doing that, we actually found that the number of roses that said they aren't here are there. So my notes on the right are me walking around with a specialist in the Rose Society. This is here, this is here, this is here. And what should we plant or remove in order to showcase this better? Finally, I wanted to talk about the Bermuda Zoological Society. There's a lot to say, and I won't have time to say it all. So make sure you search myself out or my colleagues from the Bermuda Zoological Society out. They're here with me. They began a microforest project in 2021 with their founding sponsors, Renaissance Reinsurance, and they brought the Department of Parks on board. What a microforest is a method called the Miyawaki method of planting forests very densely. The reason you do this is to shade out what grows underneath, so you have less weed and undesirable growth, but also to cause competition between the desirable plants so that they grow a little bit quicker. We were approached in February to plant the coronation garden for the king. His coronation was March 6th, so we had a few months to put something together. We found a brownfield site on location in the Botanical Gardens. It used to be the old lunchroom. Nick Coelho, who's here with me today, put together a planting scheme. You can see that we have over 500 different plants within that 424 meter squared space. So very dense. And on the right is what it ended up looking like just after we had finished planting. We've established a seeding area, but we expect the semicircle on the outside to grow up into a forest over time. This was just it on opening day. We had our acting premier and our acting governor there to unveil it. So it was a big event for Bermuda. And then I just want to show you a before and after. That brownfield site was all concrete at one point and is now quite a happy little forest. I will say that the goals of the microforest are to have 10 forests every year over a 3-year period. We've just entered our 3rd year. And our goal is to plant about 1,500 plants a year. We've blown that out of the water each year. We are working very closely with a lot of corporate companies, and it's all volunteer-based. And there's a lot of international recognition as well. So we've seen a lot of success with that. And they're not just in the Bermuda Botanical Gardens. So make sure you do catch Nick because he's got a lot more to share. I just want to say thank you. I mean, without this organization, we wouldn't have been so successful in the last year and a bit. And we can't wait to see where it goes from here. So thank you all.
Thank you, Jessica. Great job. And we can't wait to see in 2 more years where your team has grown to and how much work you've done. It's a testament to collaboration and how much is important for everything. Thank you so much. We're going to hold questions for now. So please make sure and see Jessica and her team out.